spammed here at Worlds, and it's just going to be a deviation. Drop the Corki and move on to the next iteration.
But pick up the Yone here potentially for Zeka. The fact that it slipped through the draft. That could be, well, in my eyes, the difference maker here for Zeka. He's been incredible on that pick, has fit directly into his wheelhouse, and I think it'll be such a massive pickup for Hanwha here.
I feel like it's Worlds 2024, boys. If Yone's open and you don't lock it B1, I'm wondering what you're doing.
Should always be first pick.
HLE immediately jump on the chance to do that. We'll just make sure we catch up with everything else. Bans Nidalee, Ziggs, Skarner banned out by Hanwha Life, and then Gen.G taking out the Smolder, the Jax, the Maokai.
So Aurora had actually creeped up to be the most banned champion, even with all the nerfs that were received heading into Worlds here. This champ is still so powerful in picking off, especially AD carries, and the ultimate has been used so successfully. Now you're going to combo it actually with a Nocturne ultimate to cover darkness over.
And I think this works out great for Canyon because the shift back from the carry AP junglers into the Sejuani Maokai felt like he kind of not struggled, but like couldn't have the as insane of an impact as he would have traditionally on the carry pick. So going back towards that carry style now on the Nocturne kind of unlocks him to be that mega threat on the map. And it'll be on Peanut rocking the Sejuani here to try and control and dictate the pace of that. We have seen teams go for these early invades on towards the Nocturne. With the Gnar on that top side, that could be a pushy lane you could look to play around, but you still need some sort of control on that bottom side to look to threaten this Nocturne at the early stage.
And the insta-lock here from Chovy, bringing out the Ahri here. Again, another like double AP solo laners coming through, but we definitely expect them to also have some very strong AD threats as we jump down to the bottom lanes as well for both of these teams. So take out a couple of those options.
Yep.
Viper's Ezreal is the first one to hit the ban phase.
Yeah, they'll take that one off the table. Very evasive, very slippery, very difficult to deal with sometimes if you don't have enough lockup to deal with him. However, Sejuani and Yone, plenty of lockup on that one, plenty of CC, plenty of engage potential. Let's see what we want to ban out here on the Hanwha side. Get rid of the Kalista, get rid of some of that early power available through the marksman role.
Yeah, and I think that's really what they're trying to hit, because this comp, when it gets to level 6, just pops off as Gen.G. A ton of early skirmishing power, so trying to alleviate a lot of that early pressure seems to be the game plan for Hanwha. On the opposite side, I'm curious if it's going to be a Jhin ban. Just get rid of something that kind of plays out of the main team fight and makes it a little bit more difficult for your dive to function on Gen.G's side. But other than that, I don't really, there's the Jhin, because I don't really know what other self-reliant marksmen, apart from Viper, who has brought out the Xayah. But do you really want to go for the Xayah in this meta? It's a bit hard to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're facing a lot of the dive, you know, Kaina always is nice there. I like what HLE have gone for with banning out some of the lane dominant champions here with the Kalista. Of course, Peyz, amazing Kalista, showed it again versus Weibo already this tournament. Had his 28 bomb at MSI that he was able to drop. That also had Lehends' Blitzcrank in it, by the way. You know, one of the super flavorful picks that they have up their sleeves. Let's see what they go for here. Okay, now this does bring some more structure too. You know, you're looking at this scheme comp and you do want some more CC in it. The Varus does offer that as well as a pretty strong lane phase.
But it does feel weird because Varus kind of gets left on his lonesome with the way the rest of this composition wants to play. And against the diving Gnar, the dive from the Yone, Peyz is going to be very vulnerable and heavily flash reliant, it feels like, in these fights, if Gen.G ever want to try and aggress. So I like that Hanwha are essentially just doubling down now on this potential, saying, hey, look, we're just going to continue in with the Kaisa for this dive and just put a ton of pressure onto Peyz in this game.
Always love seeing a Kaisa, man. Especially after last series, we got to see some pretty fun Kaisa. Hopefully we're going to get to see we're going to get to see some pretty fun Kaisa here in this one as well. But we do need to see what they are going to round out this composition with here for Delight in the support role. Delight on Engage, I am not surprised to see that whatsoever. The Rell is the name of the game here for him.
Yeah, he's probably the best engaged support in the world right now. This guy's absolutely insane on the Rell, the Rakan, some of these picks that really start to stand out for him. But I do like the Rell specifically in this because not only does it have great engage, it can also work very well with the peel that you need, thanks to that Magnetic Storm for Nocturne as he dives in, things like the Ahri as well, just being able to keep them off of your backline. But I like just an all-round hitter here for Hanwha. It comes off great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting dichotomy that we have because, you know, they have really hard engage here on HLE. The final pick for Lehends is kind of counter-engage with Renata, trying to get your ulti off to buy some space. If you can create darkness with Nocturne and avoid damage, then Gen.G can pull this off. But again, Gen.G are going with a way squishier comp. You know, it's so much more health, just baseline going to be built on the side of HLE, and they're so much more straightforward with their dive, with their full send. But Gen.G, this is a team where you do have faith in them to be able to pull off these squishier ones.
Yeah, this has to be an early macro masterpiece from Gen.G. Otherwise, the lack of someone to face check is going to come back to bite you against what Hanwha have drafted here. So I need to see early control for Peyz and Lehends on that bottom side. Great mid-jungle control with Canyon playing heavily for Chovy, trying to play off that charm into fear, getting the picks this way, and ensuring that Kiin...
you know, put the extra pressure onto Viper with it and make good use, then everyone's just going to go back to, well, look at Yone's stats this tournament. Hello, he's barely lost any games. He's absolutely crushing it, and you're giving it over to Zeka, who loves this champion, already used it to beat you. So and it's also there's a lot of talk I can already see.
Anime protagonist, you're putting in the block and just saying, hey, show me what you've got. And that's kind of where this like Yone edgy guy just gets to show his stuff, right? He wants to be close and personal with you, so you're kind of just setting it up. So curious now to see how Gen.G want to try and make this happen. I don't think they want to opt in towards a lane swap, but it looks like they're just trying to deny a potential lane swap. But I didn't catch there if Viper was spotted as they moved through.
All right, as we're waiting on minions to spawn, we do want to bring up that our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz this game is right there in the mid lane between Zeka and Chovy. These guys that have had some serious blows back and forth before, even though the all-time record doesn't really favor Zeka. I was looking at some stats before the series today. Zeka's all-time series record against Chovy is 2-16.
Two important ones, though.
Yeah, the two ones that he won were World Semifinals 2022 and then LCK Summer Finals just this split. Two big ones for Zeka to say, hey, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Is it kind of Chad, no? Beat you in some really, really big ones. And of course, we do have the lane swap that HLE have started out. So that means our supports are going to come mid. Actually, we have Kiin coming mid, so it's not going to be the support plus, you know, mid laners here for soaking level 2, at least for the side of Gen.G. And Delight's just going to pass on through and try and peel some of the jungle attempts here from Canyon, since they did have the ward.
Yeah, I don't think Gen.G spotted that Viper was topside. They only saw Doran, so thought it was going to be standard lane. So Gen.G had kind of gone for this in finals, where they went for the lane swap and they played for basically what Delight is doing now, which is playing down towards that bottom side, having your top laner TP into the play. But I think it's a good call from Hanwha, because Kiin in a lane swap just not going to do that great, especially on a potential dive. So they kind of have to adjust now on Gen.G's side.
And it's kind of interesting to me because a lot of it was in the previous iterations you're talking about, the support actually soaking the full level 2 from the mid lane. But because he went over to Canyon and kind of messes around with Canyon while Canyon's doing jungle, you still have Delight on the level 1 on the Rell. And so the defense is going to be a little bit more difficult.
Okay, Doran eating a little damage here, but because Delight shows up in time to keep him protected, I would think that Hanwha would still be all right here. One extra turret shot there onto Kiin as Doran transforms back into mini Gnar.
But that was the nice adaptation here. Doran wait until he's about to hit Mega Gnar, then TP's bot, so the potential dive on a mini Gnar is way more difficult. Delight now gets into the bottom lane, hits level 2, and now that completely dissuades the dive. So not only do you have Doran, who's gotten into a great start here, he gets that whole wave, and you can see that XP advantage already for the Gnar.
Yeah, and it was kind of Delight was like, okay, fine. You know, I don't get my level 2 for it, but then Canyon also wasn't level 3 for it, so then you didn't have the extra threat there, and they kind of domino effect. So nicely done here out of the lane swap. And it should be just continuing on with those sides of the map kind of split and finishing their clears off.
Ooh, Peyz forced to flash away there from the crash down of Delight, as he did find the wraparound attempt there on the Gen.G 80 carry.
Yeah, fake the reset. So traditionally you'd see Delight now reset, go top and match this because of this potential play on Viper.
Oh, Viper trying to get away from it there with a supercharger. Kiin down to 250 HP, but Lehends throws out the handshake, forces the cleanse from Viper.
Yeah, but that's where you want that support to be there. So that's why it caught Peyz off guard, because you would assume he's going to go back and match that topside play, because now there's no one on the top end of the map to try and catch the potential for this push in. But with Peanut now moving back up towards the top side, they're okay to still soak the wave as Viper. He'll just be a little late on the reset. Look how scared Peyz is in the bottom side.
Yeah, he's
been hovering in that bush for a long while.
He's hanging out, man. He knows that there could definitely be some overloading happening on the map in a lane swap type of game. As mid lane, Chovy getting this wave shoved out, wanted to crash it into the tier 1 here, but Delight is to the side.
And as Peyz just reset and went back down bottom side, now they have vision of it, so they also reset, and they're going to send Viper back down there into the lane. We'll see if that flash actually ends up getting punished, because Dagda, you mentioned it in Champion Select, but as the game goes later on, that is going to be a very critical flash, and Peyz is going to have a very difficult time staying safe with all of this engaged in his face. But even now, after swapping the lanes back and sending Viper right back down here, that is going to be an area of possible attack for HLE. Try and punish Peyz on his flash cooldown here while his lane is a little bit more vulnerable.
I'm curious to see how Kiin tries to play this though, because Delight's still level 2, means that it's very difficult to actually play aggressive on this bottom side while that flash is down. So Peyz and Lehends can play up, push in this wave, potentially reset and look for the Void Grubs that are spawning in 20 seconds. But there is also an argument to just say, hey, we're going to try and farm it out, just like play it safe, because we don't, with the level advantage for Doran, who's about to take over to 6, having access to those ultimates is actually far more valuable. So I think there's a lot of factors for Gen.G to try and look in towards this. And for Hanwha, they would rather just keep Viper in that bottom side, because in a 3v3 with both Solar Laners hitting level 6, they're in a great spot.
Yeah, and Peanut with his level lead over Canyon, because of the early antics there, goes right over the grubs to start those up on spawn.
Yep, and while he's taking those and there's no contest from the other side, remember, a reminder, you can log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds Live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. So go in there, get your stuff, get some prizes the same way that Peanut is securing those grubs right now. And it looks like Canyon is going on to the other side of the rift to take that Drake. It's the common handshake. You take grubs, I'll take Drake. One neutral objective for either side.
This does mean that you are going to get a very early level 6 Peanut, and Peanut is, as you know, an amazing tank frontline player, an amazing Sejuani player. So him with the early ultimate for Sejuani, I think will be very dangerous for Gen.G. We'll see how Peanut is actually able to leverage that, as Canyon is going to have to play a little bit of catch up here on Nocturne to be able to get access to his ultimate for the counter.
Could immediately go bot here. I think that's why he hasn't reset, because look at Peyz, still no flash available. This could be the point of contest with the ultimate hit.
I mean, when I was watching this series yesterday between Hanwha and G2, it felt like such a Peanut gap in the early game, constantly making the plays here on the Sejuani. We'll see if he can repeat it up against Gen.G. Is hanging around down here, but no opportunity to really do a whole lot against Lehends and Peyz. You saw Chovy also potentially going towards the bottom lane, but ended up going back into mid here instead. Still very close gold between the two squads. Nobody really pulling away with a lead thanks to extra wave management or extra rotations that they were managing to find against their opponents, catch them off guard a little bit.
Always fun to see and go over to, you know, the relationships between all of these players on these two teams. Not only was finals a banger, but of course Peanut himself and Delight and Doran, all ex-Gen.G members, and you know, trying to pay the visit on bottom lane. But respect given and control ward really paid off there, so they got to say hi and bye.
Right? Like, there's so many interactions between all these players, and they know each other so well, not only just from playing in finals, but being on several teams together. So I think it's always
the Griffin
so
memories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I think it's really interesting. Whenever you see teams like this go up, it just means there's so many layers upon layers of mind games and trickery and everything that's going into this that it always gets so fascinating to watch.
The Korean onion of teams and players constantly unfolding from layer to layer, showing us deeper and deeper connections between these guys. As we still have no kills on the board, 8.5 minutes in. Both teams have been fine with this very quiet early game.
Yeah. I mean, people were even calling Hanwha Life like Gen.G orange, you know, and kind of memeing on it. But really, adding the 2 extra world champions really does change the way that a team plays. And everyone's so hype on Viper and Zeka especially due to their recent play. Let's see about this one, though. Peyz.
Oh, Delight doing a big engage there on Peyz. Gen.G's AD carry ain't getting away from that one. No bailout pulls you out of that much damage. It's first blood over to Viper.
And that has been the difference. Really big target on Peyz back. He's dead, and now no summoner spells again. So the timer continues here. Now you have to really play around. No flash, no cleanse again. It is just going to be a rough game from him, as we kind of already suspected straight from Champ Select.
And hey, Dagda back at Champ Select. You said Delight's probably best engaged support in the world right now, and he immediately goes in through both summoner spells of Peyz, sets it up, knows where he's going to go through the cleanse and the flash, makes it easy to get that kill.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to see him on so many different champions, because when he started, it was definitely Rakan is his pick, and he will show up on it, but he's really evolved as a player now to things like the Rell, the Alistar, and having a ton of these extra engaged supports, and he just looks so sick on, and you got to see it there, how mechanically strong he is on these picks, and setting up now for Viper with that 1-0 kill. He's got static shiv. He's going to be such a menace now in just controlling this matchup against Peyz.
And Peanut is just so crafty, so intelligent, goes right over there. They get the kill, they get the double summoner spells, and he immediately, invests everything into the shield here for the locket. Early first purchase for him. Second grubs, he's going to head right back over there too. They have their duo lane finishing up with the minion wave, and now that they have a nice low item advantage for Peanut himself, he kind of brushes off some of the damage though.
You do need to try and buy time here, because Peanut doesn't have his ultimate up and available, which is why Gen.G are trying to play off this timing window to attack. Move down from Hanwha Life though.
I don't know if they can get all of them though, because that was also Varus ultimate used for the little chunk of damage.
Yeah. All right, second Void Grub is about half HP. Peanut's going to step forward, try to take that one. Meanwhile, down to the bottom lane, Doran trying to get away from Kiin. He's down to 100 HP while the Grubs are fought for. 4 secured by Hanwha Life, meaning they will get the Void Might spawns.
Exactly. All of it is just depending on at least getting 1 grub out of the first pack, and then you still have the threat for the second pack of grubs. Meanwhile, Kiin here, the Aurora pick that we were highlighting, also going to be able to get some extra pressure. Pushes in. This should be a turret plate. Very, very close to getting one. Doran's going to say, no turret play for you. I'm going to take away your minion wave. Even with that juicy, tiny sliver of health away, Kiin can't get it quite yet.
Yeah, wanted to get the potential stun underneath the tower. Doesn't manage to hit. Nicely done by Kiin to escape, but it does mean Doran will just reset and move back up to towards the top side, because its Dragon is now the big port of call. 10 seconds until that one's available. Zeka's good control over the mid lane, but hasn't gone for that reset quite yet. So I think Gen.G should be able to get control with Chovy in mid lane, then start to roam down towards this objective. But on the upside, Peyz not really in a position quite yet, but should be fine to contest the wave anyway.
All right, Doran just continuing to mine some plates off this top side tier 1 turret. Canyon still behind in pace in the jungle compared to Peanut here on the Sejuani. And I feel like that's a little bit problematic, because when you think back to the Gen.G that was dominant like earlier on in the year, you were thinking about Canyon on these AP junglers just power clearing, outpacing, setting this insane tempo where even if you can outplay Gen.G, they just still have more money because they farm better, and it's just not the case here anymore.
But he hasn't really had an opportunity to get into any of these lanes, because where do you try and focus? You've no real setup in any of your lanes apart from Chovy, and Zeka's been doing fine with Peanut putting pressure on towards sides, and now at the Dragon Pit,
yeah, and he's got his experimental hex plate done, so I think we see his first ulti here.
Okay, Delight with a hex flash over the wall. Peanut. Glacial Prison onto Lehends, but it ain't going to be a whole lot now. The lights go off. Paranoia goes in. Gen.G with a kill on Peanut, and this is exactly what they needed. Zeka tries to use Fate Sealed of the wall, but it's an arrow through his heart. The Samurai falls to the Archer. Gen.G take Drake +2, and they ain't done yet. Kiin still scrapping here back and forth as Doran and Delight are both forced back. That was a huge moment for the Gen.G squad.
Chovy spirit rushed over the wall into the way of the Fate Seal, so Zeka couldn't get over despite him flashing away. Really good stuff from the Gen.G mid laner, and a great fight for Gen.G as well.
All right, looks like bottom tower gets teleported on. This is going to be so low though. Can they?
Yeah, Zeka immediately arrives, but now the turret is dead. Zeka goes in 1v3, trying to get the kill on Lehends, but there's not enough damage. Even with the Yone, even with the strongest champ in mid lane, right now, it's not quite there as the tier 1 turret falls. Peanut now stepping into the river. Normally, I wouldn't even bother talking about Peanut doing that, but after last game, we saw some crazy stuff in the bottom side river, so I got to be careful with those.
Yeah, I mean, they still, Gen.G, yeah, they get the advantage in the team fight, get the extra kill here. They get the bottom tower more gold there. And topside, they're still going to be able to protect, so they teleport immediately back out with Chovy. They kind of rotate their solo laners here. As Kiin recalls, Chovy goes to replace him on the minion wave, and they keep their defenses strong.
And the fact now that you're back out on the map first is crucial for the Rift Herald that's just about to spawn. And we're going to get a glimpse at our MasterCard lane economy snapshot. You can see a lot of the gold is actually on Lehends right now, but it is still Gen.G are getting like good advantages on the map side. And this is what we were talking about coming through from draft, is Gen.G needing to outplay on the map and outplay with their macro. And even though it looked a little ropey at the start, they're starting to get control now.
And the thing is, Gen.G's so calm. Even though Canyon was a little bit behind, he funneled all of his money to make sure he could get his experimental hexplate done in advance of the dragon. And so he gets there, still has his full item. They immediately ult onto Peanut. Him plus Peyz able to take Peanut down and secure their second dragon. So dragon stacking game plan still on course here for Gen.G, plus the extra little bit of gold that they did in advantage as well. And because he's got all that extra ultimate ability haste with his experimental hexplate, his old Nocturne ultimate is ready again, so they go over to next objective, and we'll be able to burn this one down no problem.
That is gone before Hanwha even has a chance to try to move up and do anything about it. But now Delight needs to be a little bit concerned. Kiin is going between worlds, but it's not enough. Delight can still just walk away from it.
But the fact he gets to walk away opens up Doran to go for this pressure on the bot side turret. No TP for Kiin or for Chovy, so it should be some damage down, but he did start to roam up towards that mid lane, so I don't think he'll actually be able to get a ton of chunk, and actually even the wave not ready in the position, so it doesn't get any work done off the back of that.
Just about 16 minutes into the game, still only 3 kills on the board. Pretty low violence game here in our first one of this best of 3. 26,000 to 26.5 thousand gold, very, very close. Chovy retreating away as Hanwha sends more troops to back up Zeka, make sure he can force down this tier 1 turret, get some more gold in his pockets, unleash the Yone that is on that critical first item power spike.
And Kobe talked about Gen.G funneling Canyon for that first item. It feels like now Hanwha are just going to funnel Zeka. They know how strong with 2 items in his back pocket this Yone can be, and a massive threat in fights, and especially when it comes towards side lane threat as well. He can threaten Kiin, he can threaten Chovy, so as long as these towers continue to fall, Zeka can carry this game.
And he can also threaten Peyz. So we'll see if the target on Peyz back still continues as we transition towards the team fights. Gen.G, of course, they also have so many pick options with this comp. It's so nice. Once Nocturne gets rank 2 in the ultimate, you have a lot of ability to cover so many side lane plays. And when you have solo laners that are this mobile with double AP mobile summoners, solo laners here with the Ahri plus the Aurora, then you have a lot of options that make it harder for HLE in some of those. They always have to kind of check, is Canyon going to be hovering bottom or top side? And they really want to have structured battle lines so they can get their combos.
And the other thing that I always think about when I'm looking at Nocturne in a game, especially when you're up against 2 champions that like to play side lanes, that like to split push like a Yone and a Gnar, Paranoia also stops your ability to see the ward and teleport to the ward, so you've got to be there to the objective fight sooner, as now the Herald driven into the tier 1 turret there by Canyon. Doran has to flash back away, but Peanut's ready for the counter attack here with the Glacial Prism, but a nice follow-up comes in from Delight. Over the top goes the hostile takeover. It's already death for the support of Hanwha Life eSports, and Gen.G are swift to deliver it. Chovy jumps forward with another one of those spirit rushes as Zeka is forced to snap back to his body with a soul unbound. Gen.G with the 1-for-nothing. With the enemy tier 1 turret nearly killed, they're going to go down to the Drake. Meanwhile, Doran taking the opportunity, using the TP to go into the top lane and look to dismantle the tier 2 turret.
The darkness crucial there and actually recovering the retreat from Gen.G. Zeka was still pushing top and had to teleport into the play, so he wasn't there as that fight kicked off, wasn't there to follow up on a great engage from Delight. But Hanwha, TP topside, they would get the tier 2, but a third dragon for Gen.G, 1 stop away from an Inferno Soul.
It's so cool to watch how both of these teams, regardless of the different outcomes of the team fight, immediately just move on to the next step. Even though Hanwha are like, okay, fine, you know, that was a good flash and disengage from Lehends. You guys got the kill there. We are going to immediately transition to our next objective. We know you're going to be able to get dragon number 3, but even though we lost, we're going to still try and get some something out of it and try and salvage some sort of consolation prize. But that was a really nice disengage. You know, you mentioned the Nocturne ultimate, but also Lehends, after he flashes, after the stun wears off, he's able to get his Renata ult off too, and they're able to get their little counter.
I do think, though, Gen.G are not only like a step ahead, kind of 2 steps ahead in a lot of these plays, though, because oftentimes when we're seeing is Hanwha want to try and threaten onto objective. You can look at now, Kiin has already pushed in that top side, so creating a point of contention on the map. Chovy was doing the same just as we're starting to set up for Dragon, and it feels like Gen.G are always quicker off the mark to get towards these lanes, creating pressure for Hanwha, and right now, Hanwha are kind of struggling to keep up. So even though we're saying Zeka in a 1v1 is great, the wave is gone before Zeka even gets there, and Chovy's now drifted to somewhere else, and you're just constantly playing catch-up as Hanwha right now.
And always, when you're looking at who's getting side lanes here, look where Canyon is. It's so efficient for Nocturne when he has the extra range from his ultimate, finishes up his Gromp while Chovy's finishing up the mid wave. They're covering their side that they still have their split pusher on, even though Hanwha can have members there. They're so confident with Ahri ultimate, plus summoner spells, plus Nocturne even hovering around. Like, you just have all of the options kind of covered off, and you take away the possible moves that HLE want to make even before they make them.
And that's the thing, again, is where we just see that play of Nocturne covering bot to get Chovy into position. Well, Chovy then roams mid, they get the mid tower. And also respect from Peyz, because this man is playing incredibly safe on the mid wave. He knows how valuable his flash and cleanse are for these fights. He's not even stepping up to finish off the tower there. He's like, no, the minions will do the work. As long as I stay safe, this game we can win it out as Gen.G, just playing at the map stays.
Yeah, so I'm so looking forward to this next big team fight, because HLE, like we said, they've constantly done things to grab money on the map back, even after, okay, you lose a little bit here in one of the fights, or someone, you know, does get picked off. They still have kept enough gold that they can definitely still fight the next big one, and that's really what's going to break it. Like, they even have a couple extra 100 gold here in inventory, and it's in a lot of the right places too, with one of the kills going over to Viper. That Kaisa is another Kaisa that you have a ton of faith in these team fights. Like, Viper has just been insane, so we'll see what HLE can do on the next one. You have a lot of confidence in their setup. Wait a second, they're gonna have to...
Yeah, Gen.G's going after the Baron because they saw Hanwha try to make a play on Chovy down there in the bottom lane. So now they're just going to try to force the Baron instead. Chovy teleporting up to join the remaining 4 players on Gen.G. The paranoia is there to stop an appropriate follow-up. The Baron is secured by Gen.G, but now they got to try to get everybody else away. Kanan with the flash back over the wall. Hanwha can't do anything. Gen.G with the 400 IQ Baron rush, immediately recognizing the opportunity and jumping on it.
At the second they saw all those members down on bot side to look for the tower, Gen.G knew they could take it. You have a Blade of the Rune King, Gwinsu's Varus, who will rip through the percentage health of that Baron buff, and it's a perfect call, even using the darkness again as a retreat tool, because you just don't know what's the health on the Baron, or how heavily can we engage. We don't know where Gen.G are.
Beautifully done from Gen.G. Chovy sees that Sejuani coming after him on that little Farseer's trinket. He says, all right, let's go for it. And everybody else starts up the play. Chovy even teleporting to join the rest of Gen.G before going back to the base to heal up the 40% chunk that he took from Zeka in the bottom lane. They knew to full send it. They get everybody out safely. Beautifully done from Gen.G now with 45 seconds left on the clock until what will be their Dragon Soul spawns. They've got Baron and control over the Rift.
Yeah, and you were just talking about how them being one step ahead of HLE on these moves is impactful. Like, that was a very big step. They know what your next move is going to be. They try and punish it and are able to actually fully finish off the Baron and then still rotate down to the other side of the map. 20 seconds on this very early Dragon Soul. Gen.G have been so clean with it, but critical breaking point is about to approach. Again, HLE have at least kept up enough gold.
Oh, Kiin jumping in there immediately with the Between Worlds. If they pick the enemy jungler, no way to contest that Dragon Soul.
Oh my God!
Unless Delight goes in for a massive 4-man engage. Gen.G melts before your eyes. Do not doubt Delight, or you will find yourself in the dirt. A triple kill for Viper and Hanwha just buried Gen.G.
Nice macro, kids. How's this wombo combo taste? That was huge. Delight into Zeka, able to destroy them at HLE. That also denies the Dragon Soul.
That was beautiful because Peanut panics. He throws everything out and is just like, please, for the love of God, get people off me. But the TP still comes through from Zeka, and a delight. We called it. This engage into Zeka with the follow-up. The clutch moments for Hanwha have been where they've shown off this summer, and it's showing off once again on the world stage.
And Viper's just free-firing on the Kaisa there. Sidesteps the Renata ultimate. Able to melt Same, honestly, same.
Perfect facial expression.
That's a perfect meme. Another meme for the tournament, baby.
Team fight damage, man. Over 4,000 from Zeka. Nearly the same for Viper on his Kaisa. And now Hanwha Life, after it looked like they were about to lose the Dragon Soul, lose their control over the game. Delight, delight, delight on the Rell. Absolutely clutch in that moment.
Engage King. I mean, what more can you say? Absolutely beautiful. And I always also love and give like extra bonus credit when you pull off an engage in those scenarios where you already just lost a member. But you know, if we just layer our abilities here, we're going to catch multiple and delete multiple enemy members. So even though we're down Peanut, which is supposed to be like the first line of the team comp, it doesn't matter.
But it was even like a reaction test because the darkness comes off and he's like, oh, I got it. It was like immediately, it was like you know, you come off, the blindfold comes and you're like, okay, play this one out. What are you going to do?
It was just beautiful layering too, you know, stun into the full crash down, ultimate. Zeka is immediately following up, and now,
yeah, Canyon, he'll try to use Paranoia defensively, but it's too late. Viper's already unstoppable. Gen.G seeing if they might be able to get something back. A handshake on Delight is definitely not enough. As Hanwha Life eSports now with a 5v4 for the next 30 seconds.
Hanwha trying to show it wasn't a flash in the pan and silencing a lot of the doubters. I think Ox probably grinning from ear to ear as he looks again because this has been a great performance from Hanwha, but we did call this when we saw the draft from Gen.G. They needed to be clinical, they needed to not make mistakes, and unfortunately they group up that one time, and now Hanwha just get to use the strength of their engage, their tanky front line, their great DPS in this Yone and Kaisa to blitz through what is a very squishy team from Gen.G.
yeah, now they're just a very rich hammer that is going to just force plays.
A gold-plated hammer.
Gold-plated hammer just going to force plays everywhere because they already gave you a taste of the engage, and now they've just got so much extra money on the carries. You know, we're talking about Viper, and he's just free-firing and just eating up extra gold. Now, all of a sudden, the Kaisa's shot up to 3 items, and things just even get more bad for Gen.G. It just really all kind of falls apart now since they are so squishy as a team comp.
And you just said 3, but right after you said it, man,
Another
Viper just bought an arm guard, and normally I would call that a half an item. That is the most broken active in League of Legends. That, it might as well be a full item until that thing breaks as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. This dude can now fly in and not give a damn what they shoot back at him.
Yeah, especially with Kaisa. You love to see the AD carries that are just jumping into danger, outplaying it at every turn. Let's see, can Gen.G do something surprising here though? They've got a lot of like surprise tools. We mentioned earlier the pick potential of Aurora, Nocturne, Ahri, you know, things that you want to try and like cobble together, but it's so hard now because your map has just been taken over. And there's not a lot of areas for you to set those plays up. HLE, you can see them very cohesively moving as a team to try and take over Vision and not allow Gen.G to get their pick now to try and get back into the game.
Oh, immediate jump, the pick on Chovy. You just see Viper fly across the screen and then the Infernal Pinatas fly out of Chovy. Beautiful pick coming out from Hanwha. Baron is on the map. The enemy jungler dead for 40 seconds. Here's the problem if you're Gen.G. Not only is that mid lane pick going to mean that the enemy squad gets Baron, Chovy's only going to respawn right before the Infernal Drake spawns again, and Hanwha is going to continue having control over the entire rift.
And I want to give a shout out to Peanut because he's been playing absolutely insane this game. The picks have been on point. He's dictated the pace of the early game, denying Canyon so many of the angles he would like to attack. And he has just been so good at playing with Delight to set up these plays.
Plus, you see the super deep wards. The deep ward in mid lane is what Peanut saw him on. He was like, okay, Chovy's mid. Peanut can get into position, flash over the wall to make sure they can find their pick. Even on a champion as slippery as Ahri, they instantly deleted him. But now, Gen.G, they want another attempt at this soul.
Okay, Chovy responded in time to be able to make his TP in, as now another TP is about to show up for Hanwha. Doran has rejoined everybody else. Paranoia cast, a charm onto Delight, but he's the only one. Between Worlds has already been used. Doran here in the front line, jumps in from a Mega Gnar, but he ain't gonna find the angle here just yet. Zeka resetting with a soul unbound. Kiin's the first to drop. Viper's going godlike. Gen.G scrambling to fight back, but Zeka's too strong. Viper's too strong. Gen.G's running towards the wrong base, and Doran's gonna hit him with the wallop. Couple more auto attacks, gets it done. Chovy's about to drop again. Call it a Drake, call it an ace, call it a fight for Hanwha.
Call me the LCK champions. Hanwha showing why they won, why they threatened Gen.G, and why they want to join LNG in the quarterfinal stage.
We got 15-second death timers still ticking down for the Gen.G team as HLE are on to the Nexus turrets. They will crumble before them, and Hanwha Life eSports take the first game in the LCK Finals rematch.
Finals ain't no fluke, okay? That's just game number 1. But Hanwha really just retook control. And of course, player of the game. We don't give those out, but I'm going to give one out now. Delight.
Yeah.
You know,
What
you
a
can honor
beast.
enemies now as well. I'm pretty sure all of the other Gen.G members are like, you know what, Delight? That's also an honor. Great job. Fair enough.
Delight's engaged, got it done, and everybody else just kept it rolling all the way to the enemy Nexus. Game number 1 is done. We're tossing to a break, but we'll be